one of those endless points of debate is what counts as a word. Is such and such a real word or not? One of the typical views is that a real word is whatever's in the dictionary. But of course, that doesn't quite cover it, because dictionaries just respond to whatever words are being used. They don't decide really to make something a word. They record what other people are already using and say it's a word. So a lot of new words can certainly be words before they ever appear in the dictionary. And maybe they'll never appear in the dictionary. There can be words that small groups of people can use. They can make up. You can make up any word you want. It can be a word. So the whole dictionary thing doesn't cover it. But there's a whole range of different types of word, of different levels of word, you could say, from words that are absolutely our core vocabulary to words that are kind of weird and maybe it's a word. And then there's a whole class of words that no one can deny that they're well in use, but there's something about them that makes them seem like they're not really full words. They're not really there. It's almost like they're not fully alive. And this is a category that is sometimes called fossil words. So looking at fossil words here, we have a list of a few examples that give the idea. So here the perfect example is ado. So we have the phrase without further ado. When you're moving on after an introduction to move on to, maybe you're introducing somebody, you have a bunch of prefatory remarks, and then you're like, without further ado, here, let's get to the point. And then there's the much ado about nothing from the Shakespeare play, and this particular phrase. Now, are there any other uses of the word ado other than in saying one of these phrases? So we can see it's a familiar word, it's well used, but you can't really use it fully. Like with any of these kinds of rules, you can find a way to stretch it, and you can talk about, there's so much ado here. This is just too much ado for me. Now you can come up with these things, but it's kind of like a playful kind of reference to these fixed examples. So ado is like a word that is stuck within this phrase. It only exists as part of this larger structure, and so it almost doesn't really exist by itself. The great example, amok, running amok. Now, can you do anything else amok? Can you walk amok? Can you swing your arms around amok? It really only fits with running. Banding about, bated breath. Here's one like, you talk about bated, and like, what does it even mean to have bated breath? Be at a beck and call, but can you beck? Can you beck somebody? You bide your time. Is there anything else you bide other than your time? Can you bide your money? Champing is kind of like chomping. This one, I think a lot of people will just say chomping because it literally means the same thing as chomping. It's just a different form of the word chomp. So you might as well just call it chomp. But there's this old version champ that I guess many people will say that the correct form of this expression is champing, not chomping, insisting on preserving this earlier form of the word chomp, which has only existence in this form. And it makes you wonder, like, these do have kind of a surprising durability. Like, even though these words are long gone from common use, but yet a lot of these expressions are still alive and powerful, to the point that there are some people that it's very important to them that you must say champing and not chomping, because it's specifically this even though this word exists nowhere else. Coin of vantage. That's a new one for me. I'm not used to hearing that one. The just desserts, which should be spelled with a single S, not desserts. Although I always thought it was spelled with the double S. As you can see, like that's actually a word that fits. Maybe, I mean, although actually now that I think about it, it makes no sense because just desserts is like what you deserve. So it should only have one S. But I guess we're not used to saying desserts like this. We think that sounds like you're talking about deserts, and as in you deserve a desert or something. So that makes no sense. Dint, dudgeon, you're eking out. To and fro, yeah, like it's always to and fro. You can't just go fro. You have to go to and fro. Goodly, now goodly's kind of fun. I wonder, maybe goodly has a little bit of life to it. Possibly because we have, good is one of the core words, and ly is a core word piece here that can modify many words. It's like kindly and friendly. So this one I feel has a little bit more life, just because its pieces are very strong. It's just together. It's certainly not something that's commonly used. Helter skelter, inclement. Yes, inclement weather. It's always weather that's inclement. There's nothing else that is typically inclement. Jetsam. You're typically only. You must also be flotsam. Yeah. So it's like these. Some of these survive like by partnership with something else. Kith and kin. So because of this phrase, we get the kith, because kin survives and this survives. Being on the land. I mean, this almost like being on the land, it almost survives by itself. I wonder if that's really fossil. But there really is no other way you can describe it. You can't talk about, I am, how's the lamb doing? I can be under the lamb. I can be beside the lamb. That's not happening. Low. So anyway, these being at loggerheads, the whole shebang. There's no notion of a partial shebang. Spick and span only exist together. Turpitude. The only form of turpitude is moral. There's no other kinds of turpitude. Vim. Yeah, this is kind of a fun one. I like these kind of words that have this kind of energetic, lively feeling. So I think vim could be a fun one to bring back maybe. Wedlock. You can only be, I guess nobody talks about being in wedlock. Wending. Oh, it's interesting that this word wend is actually connected to the word went. So we have go in the present, went in the past. But it used to be that you could say wending in the present. And then we have your. So these are just some fun examples of words that simply stopped existing. I think they stopped existing as independent living entities because to really be a full word, a true living word, you have to be able to make sentences with it in any way you want. It's like it's a piece of something that you can put together with any other pieces and with a whole number of other pieces and make all kinds of new sentences and new forms that have never been heard before. That's a living word. When you have a word that can only be used in one very specific situation, in a sense, it's not really a living word. And that's why the idea of fossil, with something that's no longer alive, is used. But I think it's not so much that it's a fossil or that it's dead, but it's something that it's become fixed. It's like it's part of something bigger. Like when you're saying kith and kin, when you're saying flotsam and jetsam, to and fro, and bide your time, like these are fixed expressions, and these words are part of them. The words died as independent words, but they live inside an expression. So it's like they're part of something that is still living, a living phrase. But the words themselves are just a piece that almost like it loses its independent identity, and it becomes only a piece of something bigger. So it's interesting to see this process, and I wonder what words that we're using now will maybe even 100 years from now, but sometime in the future, some of the words that we're using may be left only part of fixed expressions. And this is all part of, you could say it's a step of words disappearing. I mean, if it wasn't for those fixed expressions, those words would probably disappear entirely. So it's like these fixed expressions give you a little picture, and they hold on to this word that was once alive. And so in that sense, it is containing a fossil, containing a record of a word that was once alive, and it's being kept going as part of this bigger expression. And otherwise, it would disappear. And there's so many other words that are like these, but because they don't have any kind of popular expression like those, they have disappeared entirely. And this is, of course, the fate of many words. Now, there are words that have been around for thousands of years. There's no guarantee that any particular word ever has to die. It really could continue, but many words do disappear by the wayside and are replaced by others. And here these fossils give us a little window into some of these words that disappeared along the way.